I'd like to call the Richmond Parks and Recreation Board to order. I will now read the mission statement. The Richmond Parks and Recreation Department provides for the positive development and well-being of the Richmond community through the provision of parks, greenways, trails, and recreational programming and facilities, while working in cooperation with other service providers and partners in the community to maximize all available resources. Denise, any special guests today?
No.
Okay. Moving on to the approval of minutes from July 11th. Folks have a chance to review those. If so, I'll call a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and second to approve the July 11th minutes. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. On to administration report, Denise.
I do not have a report for you. I'm happy to talk through any concerns that you have. I just wanted to concentrate on the budget this evening.
Okay. Any question or comments? Move on to division reports. I'm assuming financials be part of budget discussion.
Yeah, I did want to point out one thing that we did have for June though is you will see in hours and in golf's miscellaneous income our auction totals were in there. So for the parks we have we got a total of $3,169.99, and then golf earned a total of $1,823 from auction that got added to the miscellaneous income that you'll see on both ours and golf's. So that was the positive on both sides that finally got deposited in the June's financials. So I just want to put that out on there. So if nobody has questions.
Questions, comments? You're free.
Thank you.
Becky, I see you're here. Do you have anything to highlight before we move on?
I just wanted to say that we have 15 new members just in July, and today we actually have 5 new members. So we're moving, and they're getting younger. So that's kind of cool. And and we did get people to donate their time to Civic Hall. We took that field trip to Civic Hall, and now we have members signed up. And so I'm going to be turning in their stuff tomorrow. So it was successful to take our members out in the community and get them to usher. So I'm excited. And I thought I'd leave you with our first of our thing. We've changed to Donna doing our air frying because we wanted to include more of a way to communicate with lots of people and do things. So she's going to, do the air frying and cooking for 1 or 2. And she made a little menu for tomorrow. It was our first day with it. So I'll leave it here in case anybody wants to look it over because it's kind of cool. And everybody who attends is going to be collecting recipes and how-tos and build their own little folder. So, yeah, that's it. Yay.
All right. Thank you. All right. If there is nothing else, move on to board comments or concerns. Delegation correspondence, is there any? Okay. Old business, first up we have is the review of reverting budgets.
Yes. We can kind of go through these together if you'd like. Does everyone have the ability to hold them up? If not, I have some here with me.
I'll take one.
Okay.
I'll take one also. Which part would you like?
Well, our printer kind of went haywire a little bit, so it looks like some of them printed odd. So we will just go through these as they are, and we'll go from there. It may not necessarily be in the order of what's on here because the printer went a little wacky. So, yeah, that's fine. So on the first page, I just wanted to draw your attention to what I handed out. This is the committee of the whole agenda. And I wanted to highlight that we will be presenting parks on the first day, Monday, 28th. We will be the last presentation on the first day. They're actually, I think that it's going to be on that Tuesday now. So think they changed that a little bit, so I will get you a new committee as a whole agenda. Because the Monday will be now a council meeting, so they changed it to Tuesday. And then the second one is the budget calendar. And this just kind of shows exactly what is happening on when we need to have everything approved and all of that. And then, let's see how, let's go through some of these here. Again, sorry, this kind of went haywire a little bit. It's not in the right order. Okay, so we are going to go. We're going to go through the Park 2204 first. Did anybody have any questions on the 2204 when they were going through that one at all? I will say that we are meeting with the mayor and the controller tomorrow, and we will be reviewing this, all budgets, but this budget in particular. They are looking to hopefully make a balanced budget, and so I'm not sure exactly what we'll have to cut, but I should know more by tomorrow. And so this is the 2204.
So in order to get to that,
Would be 500. Yeah, 555,000, which would mean most of the capitals. And just to highlight kind of what our concentration was, just to remind you kind of what we talked about last meeting, the concentration this year in 2025's budget was to concentrate on equipment and fleet. And then in 2026, our goal was to concentrate on facility needs. So that was the hope. And we did have a hefty cash balance left for 2204. So we were hoping to be able to utilize that for our equipment and fleet needs. So we'll see how that rolls out after the discussion tomorrow. And I will keep you posted on that. And a lot of the equipment and fleet needs would be in the rotation plan that we've created, and some of the mowers that we need to replace that are out of warranty.
what's the 200 for infrastructure?
That would be the pole barn for the maintenance complex, so that all of our fleet and equipment can be in one. It can be under closed doors. Currently, we have plenty that are out, and we need to make sure, we need to make sure that everything is under shelter. Okay, moving on to 2211. Talk about this one for just a little bit. So, talking through our golf budget at Highland, there's obviously some concerns here that we see in the cash flow, and we still end with a cash balance, but the issue I have here is that we are being as frugal as possible in 2024 to move this cash balance to a better area than what you see. So the goal of 2024 is, like I said, to be as frugal as possible. And in 2025, you do see that we have budgeted a little differently than we have in the past. And I will say that you can see where we have in the dailies, we have budgeted from having daily user fees of 150, we've moved that down to 132. And our annuals, we've moved that down to 90. So you can kind of see where we've changed a lot of our revenues to really look at where we've been in the past 3 years, and we hope to exceed those. That's the goal. So while we see that we haven't been meeting the revenues that we've had for the last couple years in here, we feel like we've been chasing some of our revenues to meet our expenses, and that has not worked well for us. And so the goal in 2025 is to exceed our revenues. And the goal in 2025 is also to be more of a municipal golf course. Now, I say that because I feel as though Highland has been operating as a private golf course at times, where we rely on members to provide our expenses. And I think now is a time to reevaluate that and look at that in a little bit different light, where a municipal golf course should be derived from some tax dollars. And now's the time where we need to think about what that looks like. And now's the time where the park board really needs to get a really good look at that and say, how much tax dollars do we need to continue to make Highland the best that it can be? Because at this point, the membership and the daily is not working. The amount of revenue coming in is not sustaining the course. So until we have enough revenue, or we build up the revenue, it's not going to sustain it. And I will say that this has happened for several reasons. And I'm just being very transparent and honest that when we did the salary survey in 2021, we had to increase the salaries there. So the 1,000 accounts increased. The insurance has increased, and the expenses have increased with chemicals, with fuel, and everything else for inflation that everyone else is dealing with. Well, we're not interested in closing this course, and we're not interested in taking steps backwards. What we're interested in is making it better. And so together with the tax base, I think we can make that happen. And so I think the park board really needs to take a hard look at this and start to think about how we can make additional revenue year-round, which we've talked about before, and how we can start to sustain this a little bit more. And we've been working through that. The business manager and myself have been trying to take on different things. Also with not having McBride as an expense, we've been trying to filter in some of those funds over to Highland to try to help out, which has been helping tremendously. But we've got an aging course, and we've got a lot of needs. And so, I think this is one of those things that we continue to watch and be watchdogs as the park board, and continue and start to think about some creative ways to make additional revenue here.
So where is Wes in all of this? What is his viewpoint?
Well, I mean, I think that you can talk to Wes about that. I mean, he's constantly busy out there. The tee sheets are full. We have 3 high schools that play out here. We have 2 college teams. It's busy all of the time. It's not like we don't have play. The members are completely important to us, and so are the high schools and the colleges. People want to play here. It's not that they don't. It's just, I think we're tapped on our revenue requests. You can only get to so much when you ask for a greens fee, at a municipal course. We want to be the best course for the best rate. We don't want to overextend ourselves on that play rate, or you're not going to have people walking in the door. And I would like to say that the course is in tip-top shape and we can increase our revenue, but I can't say that today. unfortunately. So, you know, we've got a lot of work to do out there, and we've got some things to work on, and so, you know, we need to make sure that we are not trying to increase our revenues out there, and we're just, you know, we're making sure that we're doing everything we can to get it back to where it needs to be.
Madam President?
Yeah.
So, is there a plan to show the park board just exactly what you need for the golf course? And I don't know, is that something that we could see that would tell us what you need for a year, what you need for a 5-year period, just in terms of, you know, salaries, equipment, materials?
Yeah, I think that
I
this,
guess I'm not
Yeah.
exactly sure how much you need and
Right.
how much we can
I think
ask
the
for.
budget really shows for this year,
Okay.
what is needed. Now, it doesn't take into account necessarily what we need in terms of capital outlays. I mean, obviously, there's a couple pieces of equipment that we could definitely utilize. I mean, those are things that when we look at having a surplus of funds down the road, we're gonna have to think about. I mean, there's certain things that we have to operate.
Right.
We're gonna talk about those in new business. We have to have the golf carts, we have to have chemical, we have to have these things. Those are operational expenses. But when we talk about like a 5-year plan or some of those things, those pieces of equipment need to be in there along with
Sure.
some of the things that we've been working on already to kind of stay ahead of the game while we've been working on some of the main irrigation issues. We've had an irrigation professional out. We're going to have, next week we'll have a chemical professional out. And these are people that can really help to identify those 5-year needs. But each year our chemical specialist gives us a chemical plan. You know, you just got to follow it, right? Got to follow it. And then each year, when we have any kind of issues in our irrigation that we can't fix, we call out the irrigation specialist. You know, I think that those are things the people we have in our back pocket. We've been talking to the irrigation specialist about our irrigation plan, and you know, we have aging wires, and what's that look like, and how, you know, what's the timeline on some of that in our course. And so I think we're starting to talk through some of that 5-year needs, those 10-year needs, and I think that's something that we can look at. But when we start to think about like an actual master plan for the golf course, I think that would be an ideal option. It's just a lot of money to come up with a focused golf course plan when we really need to put that money in the course right now. And it would be helpful, I'm not saying it wouldn't, but right now I think we understand what needs to be done, and what that looks like is we need a new clubhouse, you know, we need a new pump house, you know, it's going to go through all the things we need and the prices that's going to be, but it's going to be written by a consultant in a book, and that's great, but it's going to cost us well over, you know, $75,000 when we really need to make sure that money is going into the course right now. Now, if we found a donor or a grant or something like that we could do something along those lines and provide a master plan of that nature, absolutely. But right now, I think the best course of action, the best use of our funds, is just to kind of start thinking through those, and we have been doing that on a spreadsheet and trying to document what that looks like for the next 10 years.
And I understand that, that's a great idea, except you can't come to the park board and say, we need to take a serious look at something that is, you know, not a golf. I don't run golf courses, I don't know what the needs are for this year, for next year, for 2, 3, 5 years, I don't know that. So it would help me at least if we had some numbers. I know that, you know, numbers are difficult. Some years are good, some years are bad. It's, you know, the weather,
Right.
et cetera, but I support the golf course completely, and I just would need more information Because it always sounds like, when we hear the reports, it sounds like everything's going great out there, but if it's not, then,
Yeah.
you know, we need to know. We also need to know about equipment. I know, well, I think we bought some mowers a couple of years ago, but I know you need more, and I know it's an expensive operation. I just wish there was some way to know
Yeah.
yearly, you know, would, you know, 200,000 a year, would that be sufficient?
Yeah, and I think what I'm just looking for in terms of that hard look is that,
I know it's
Yeah.
really hard.
yeah, is, you know, that we're gonna have to start thinking about putting money from the tax base into the golf course. And so,
And-
yeah,
And we'd need some kind of hard numbers
Okay.
to even approach that, you know?
okay,
But I think, at least what I'm hearing from the current administration, we are interested in doing some bonding to pay for some things. So if we had that kind of information, it might be helpful to,
yes,
as that rolls out, so.
absolutely.
Great, thank you.
They make a very good point on that, and there's something that I had in my packet as well, that we have an opportunity maybe soon to potentially bond, but, you know, we've got to think about what that repayment source is, and a $3 million bond is going to be costing us $733,000 a year. So until we can find what that repayment source is, then we just might be out of that option. So we just have to think about that. And obviously, that $3 million is going to be a drop in the bucket for all the things in the master plan that have been identified by the community on what needs to happen. We could take $3 million easily and Glenn Miller really quick. And so that's what's concerning, is that when you think about what $3 million can do for the Parks Department, it's huge, but it's really a drop in the bucket for what needs to be done in the projects that have been identified in the master plan. So we just have to kind of work through that a little bit too, but it's a very good point. Thank you.
I will say I agree with you entirely. There's a lot of places that need money. The flip side of it is we have been utilizing this cash balance in this golf course fund for a long time. And I appreciate and I'm excited to hear you say that this year we're trying to add more to it. Hopefully our revenues will exceed next year, so we'll be able to add to it there too. But this is the last budget we'll be able to float on the cash balance. Next budget, unless we find some additional revenue sources, we're gonna have to make cuts to this budget because we won't be able to dip into that cash balance at $30,000 again. And so while there are a lot of areas within our park system that need a lot of work, the golf course is in an existential crisis right now. Because if we start making cuts, it's going to get worse, and in 5 years' time, it might cease to exist. I mean, if we can't fund it, it will be done.
How old is the irrigation system?
50 years old?
50?
I mean, it's been a while. And they've done some major repairs here and
Pumps
there.
and things, not with the system itself. It's about time. Big one.
So,
Anything else with golf?
No. Ma'am, I just wanted to make sure I just talked through that a little bit because I think all of the points that you made were important. And I think Bill is absolutely correct, and so is Dakota. You know, I think that we just really need to keep our eye on this. Emma and I have our eye on it every day. So, you know, I think that we just need to make sure, and we're constantly trying to find more funds here and trying to help as much as we can. But they do need things there to keep operations happening. So, again, we're being as frugal as we can and keeping things going. And we'll also be watching things closely there. So I just wanted to make sure that you were fully aware. We'll move on to farmer's market now.
A little bit more positive.
You know, I was out at the golf course today, and there are plenty of really pretty areas, I would say. You know, and I don't want to make it all doom and gloom with some of the things that need work on, because I will say there are really pretty areas out there. And there are some really, really pretty greens. So I don't want to make it all doom and gloom, but, you know, sometimes when you see things that need to be worked on, it takes that, you know, priority, and then it also makes it, everything else look bad. But really, there are some really, really pretty things, and there's a lot of great things that are going on out there. We were able to fix those pumps that have been down for quite some time. The jockey pump is now up and going. The secondary pump that's been down is now up and going. There's been a septic issue for quite some time. We've been able to levitate the leach field. That could have been an $80,000 fix. It was a $2,000 fix. I mean, we lucked out wholeheartedly on that. There is a irrigation leak that's been there for a ton of months, and it was on hole number 3. We were able to take our in-house resources and take care of that fairly quickly. So lots of positivity things happening, and we're getting things done. So I just want to make sure it's not all doom and gloom. There's a lot of great things happening out there too.
And just from my standpoint, I hear a lot of good things about what's happening, both at Glen Miller,
Yeah.
I hear a lot of very positive things, and at the golf course and the pool. People are
Yeah.
excited about the pool.
Yeah, we
So
did have a
I
lot
don't
of-
feel it's doom and gloom.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
and I appreciate everything you're doing,
Thank you.
your stuff.
All right, so farmer's market. We are having a great year at the farmer's market. We finished 3rd in the state this year from the farmer's market contest, so we're pretty happy about that. And also looking at the budget, looks pretty solid. To answer any questions that you might have about this budget, that you have any questions with.
Is the sponsorship revenue, that's down?
So, you know, the sponsorship revenue, the $2,000.
Right. Budgeted for 20,000?
I think we just budgeted in that regard just because we do not want to overextend ourselves. We are just finishing up an IDOH grant, and we have had some sponsors come through, but not $20,000 worth of sponsors. So we just definitely don't want to overextend. If we get more than that, we will be ecstatic.
Okay, anything else for the farmer's market?
And then just to make note on the 3312 on the bond, one that you see here, it actually is inactive, but there is $5,069.80, and we have the ability to transfer these funds where we see fit. And I would like your permission, it's not necessarily a vote, but I would like to transfer this to Highland. So that was one thing that I was going to transfer these funds. It's not something that, like I said, necessarily needs a vote, but it was something that I felt like since we had the ability to transfer where we wanted to, it is $5,069, and I think it would be a good idea to stick that over there.
Are you suggesting putting it into just the cash balance or into a particular budget line?
I'm suggesting probably putting it into a, wherever it's needed.
At Highland?
It would increase there. It would probably be put into 2024, and then it would increase
Oh, I see.
to 2025. So,
I see.
and line. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
And then when we talk about the 4403, this is the non-reverting capital. It's deemed inactive, but we are able to utilize these funds. These are funds that we received from McBride, but we made them all non-reverting capital. These are funds that when we, this is an account that if we ever sell any property or we have any funds come through, capital related will go directly into this account. And so currently in this account, we have $15,792.92. And then this we'll actually be able to utilize these funds. A portion of these funds will go towards the new fence at Clear Creek that the mayor will be funding some of the portion of the fence, and then we will fund what is necessary out of this account for Clear Creek.
The new fence in Clear Creek?
Yes.
Where's it?
The outfield fence
Oh, good.
at the Diamond there. So the park emergency fund that the council approved on Monday, there was a portion of those funds that will be coming from this account.
Okay.
And then we'll just continue to build this up. That all makes sense?
Do you have any information on how much might be removed from the account for that?
We are thinking $8,775.01.
1 cent.
But it will fluctuate depending on the amount of the other information that comes through, and how everything falls through. Widow person services, this account here looks pretty solid. Really, there's not a ton of expenses with widow person services, as you see. A lot of what widow person services do, they really help share with the Senior Recreation Center, and but they do have their own grant match and their own contribution, as well as they do have some of their own office supplies that they have. So that's what really the only supplies that they have, and then their personal 1000s and some of their contractual services for speakers and some other administrative expenses. But really, it doesn't take a whole lot to run that program, but it is very beneficial. Any questions on that? Any questions for me at all on the budget?
Looks like everyone's good.
Okay. And I'm happy to, if you have any additional questions, to answer those down the road. And I also plan to give you an update after tomorrow's meeting.
And we'll,
You will just need to, if you feel that the pleasure of the park board is to approve the non-revertings.
that's what we'll get to next.
Okay.
Next up is the approval of non-reverting budgets. So any questions or comments regarding that? If so, then I will entertain another approval.
Make a motion to approve all of the non-reverting budgets as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved for the approval of the non-reverting budgets, all of them. Been moved and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. On to new business. We have the approval of the HLGC contract 152-2024.
This contract is for the golf cart fleet. And we talked a little bit about this. I think it's important to go over it in its entirety. Pass those out that way. So just to kind of go through this, I'm going to give you the proposal, and then I put together a little recommendation. I think it's important to kind of go through this, especially in the state that Highland is right now. The recommendation for this golf cart lease and why we need to go for a lease instead of a buyout, and the difference here. So obviously you realize that the carts are really 60 of our best employees, and they work for us at each and every day. They take people to and from the course and throughout the course, and they have to be dependable, right? So the price here, we've really talked through the best options, and we've explored all the options with Yamaha, and also talked to some other golf cart companies as well. But really Yamaha has been terrific to work with. And so our goal here is to roll our golf cart lease with Yamaha into 2025. Now, our golf cart lease currently will be ending in 2025 of April. And so rolling it is something that we have to decide today, decide this year in 2024, so they can secure the carts for us now. It's not something that we decide in April of next year, because then there won't be any carts for us. So the reason for the rolling of the lease, obviously, and why we decided something different was because we only have 48 charging stations downstairs, right? So we felt that thinking a little different, if we only get 48 electric, we can charge those on a regular basis. If we get 12 gas that are a little bit dependable and a little cheaper, they can go upstairs and save us a little bit of money, and they can be stored outside. Gas golf carts last for a very long time, 10 years plus, and they're also very durable and a little bit more multi-purpose. So we can have people taking those out if we need to weed eat or do those kinds of things. And they also negotiated in the deal 2 UTVs for us, and which, because we just kept saying this is not enough, this is not low enough. And so they could throw in 2 UTVs, which would be very helpful for us on the course. Number one, to pick the range, because right now we don't have a range picker that is dependable, and also for another maintenance UTV. So our last one that we purchased was in 2019. So that would be very helpful for us to also lease out. So we have, right now, currently, our Yamaha lease that we have is 5 years, and we go easy 54 holes out of each cart. We take care of these 60 employees, and they take care of us. I mean, we baby them. We wash them after every play, and we also, one of the big things is that these are AC carts, so they take less charge than a DC cart. So it only takes 4 hours to charge them instead of 8 to 9, which is a cost savings, and that was one of the reasons why we went to the AC cart. We've been really impressed with the 60 carts, and that's why we're wanting to stay with Yamaha. And 5 years ago when we had Easy Go, we had to pull them off after eight holes. So we feel really good about Yamaha. The way that they've stayed after 5 years has been great. We have 2 options here that you'll see in this proposal. One is to go 5 years, one is to go 6 years. After year 5, our warranty goes out. And that makes me a little nervous. So I would rather pay just a little bit more money and keep it the 5 year with the warranty than go to the 6 years. Also, we know what happens in year 5, right? So we're still comfortable in year 5. We don't know what happens in year 6. And so we don't want that to happen. When you go to lease versus buyout on a 5 to 6 year cart, you got 200 to 250 per battery. These Yamaha batteries are Trojan 8 volts. And if you take 6 batteries in each cart and you take them times 60, that's $72,000 to $90,000. So that's what you're going to pay.
To replace batteries.
to replace all the batteries in these carts if we bought them out. So that's something to think about here. And then you've got to think about on top of that, at some point they're going to need new tires, at some point they're going to have an electrical issue. And we'll have to fix that as well. So if we bought out these carts, that's where we'd be. So that's why we decided a while ago to start this leasing opportunity. Yeah, it's a big investment, but it also is sometimes why people actually come to the course, because we have great carts. And they say that all the time. Wow, your carts are very nice. We love your carts. And so, you know, right now we have membership, yes, but it's not a private club. So the daily play is what we really want to attract. The 3 high school teams, they have a ton of people who come out and we need those carts. And they pay for cart use. The college teams, the people who watch the college teams, they're using the carts. The leagues Monday through Friday, you know, we've got to have the carts for them. So the carts are just a must just to keep up with this play. And so I just wanted to really just highlight kind of why we feel that this proposal is important and why we're going with Yamaha and why we want to roll this lease over so that we can be ready to go. April, they'll take our carts, they'll bring us a brand new fleet. We'll be ready to go, starting in the spring.
So new tires, how much on average would they typically cost?
I didn't price those out. I can get numbers for you on tires, but we've bought out carts before and they go downhill pretty fast. So it also becomes a pretty big maintenance issue that we don't necessarily have time for. But
I'm just trying to visualize if we buy them out, what would be the true cost, if possible, estimate, rather than the 65 right now. So I imagine we're already at batteries at 72 to 90,000, plus new tires, plus any electrical issues. So I'm thinking maybe additional 20,000. Or am I wrong in that?
yeah, I couldn't tell you. I don't know.
Do folks have other questions or comments regarding this?
It's been 5 years. I mean, obviously, I don't like the hike. We don't like the fact that we have to pay that much more in 5 years, but it's the way everything is right now. Everything increases. And I will tell you that I worked hard to get it to where this number is. I'm sure you can attest to that.
So if you move forward with a 5-year lease option, payments will commence in April 2025
Payments would,
on the new fleet. Is that
on
correct?
the new,
Or are you paying upfront?
so, yes, because they're not gonna pick up until April. Right? Is that correct? They won't pick up till April.
So they won't pick up at the end of the season, they'll pick up at the beginning of next.
Our payments stop in November. Yeah, our payments stop in November, they're not gonna pick up till April.
And then the new fleet payment
Start in April.
starting April
Correct.
1st. And it'll be
Yes.
about 13,
It'll be what?
about 13 per month. Or are you paying upfront?
We're gonna be upfront annually. This is what we did for every year.
Versus
Correct.
amending the budget.
Correct.
Yeah, because we don't pay monthly now.
Yeah,
We pay monthly for the spring, not for the.
correct. We pay annually.
Other questions or comments regarding this contract? I see you're doing some numbers there. If there are no questions or comments, then I guess I will entertain a motion for approval.
I will say too, that just, this is the proposal that you are approving and the contract. A finance proposal will come back for another signature, and that will probably be back in September. So the master finance lease will come back for additional signatures.
Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and second for the approval of HLGC contract 152-2024. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Is there any other business for today? If not, I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and second for approval. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.